Question 1.3, we have a classic surd equation. A surd is a root, so it can be a square root, it can be a cube root. In our case, we've just got a stock standard square root. Okay, and what we want to do is make sure the square root is by itself. And it can have a minus in front or a number multiplied by it in front. But as long as you have one term with a root in it, you are safe to go to the next step of squaring both sides. So we just square both sides separately. Now don't fall in the trap over here. Do not shower the power. If you see a square on the outside of a binomial, that square gives you instructions to write the bracket twice. And the reason why we do that is so we can set ourselves up for foiling. If you're comfortable enough, you can foil straight away. And I'm going to do you one better. I'm going to write this bracket twice to show you how it simplifies. Okay, so if I write this bracket twice, then a minus times a minus is a positive. And if I have a square root multiplied by another square root, and they have the same thing underneath, then the square root just disappears. So from this whole ordeal, we just left with x minus 2. Another good way to see it is like this. So a minus times a minus is a plus. So that's why the minuses have disappeared. And then I multiply what's underneath the square root. So I multiply those. So I get that bracket squared, and then this square cancels with this third to give us what we previously had, x minus 2. Okay, now over here I'm going to FOIL. And when I FOIL, I multiply. So f stands for the first term in each bracket. X times x is x squared. O stands for the outer two terms, so it's x and negative 4. So x times negative 4 is negative 4x. R stands for the inner two terms, so negative 4 times x, once again, is negative 4x. And L stands for the last two terms in each bracket, so negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. Okay, and while I'm here, I'm just going to do these two like terms. Minus 4x is minus 8x. And now I'm going to analyze what type of equation I have. The highest power of x I see is x squared. So this is a quadratic equation. So I want to get standard form. And to do that, I'm going to have to move these two terms over to the other side. And at the same time, I want to get the right order. So I want the x squared to be first here. The minus 8x can stay where he is. Now when I move this x over, it's going to become minus x, because over here it's plus x. When I move it over the equal sign, it becomes the negative version of itself. So let's put that minus x over there. The plus 16 can stay next to this. And I'm going to move the minus 2 all the way at the end here next to the 16. And when I move it over the equal sign, it becomes plus 2. It becomes the opposite sign of what it previously used to be. And if I take everything over, then there's nothing left here. There's kinda, my bro, 0. Okay, so what I was talking about the order, I want the x squareds first. I want everything with the x in the middle. And I want the things without an x at the end, aka the numbers that do not have a variable. Now we're going to do the like terms. Over here, if there's no number, we assume it's a 1. And minus 8x minus 1x is minus 9x. If you're having a little bit of trouble with those mental calculations, just use your calculator to triple check. Just type it in without the x's. So minus 8 minus 1 will give you minus 9, and then you just glue the x onto that. Okay, and then plus 16 plus 2 is plus 18. Okay, now we can have, well, we have standard form, it equals 0. So now we can start the process of factorizing. So I look at this number here, the factors of 18. When I do the tennis court method like I did previously over here, you only do the tennis court method when there's a number in front of x squared. These ones are a lot easier. If you don't have a number in front of x squared, or if it's 1, then you can just have a look at the factors of 18. And we need to use those factors to get negative 9. So 1 times 18, that won't work to get me negative 9. 2 times 9, close, but it still won't work. 3 times 6, perhaps that will work. After I've identified the correct factors, I need to add or subtract them to get negative 9. And I can do that by saying minus 3 minus 6. And once I've done that, I'm going to set up 2 empty brackets with the x at the beginning. And inside of my first bracket, it's going to be x minus 3. Inside of my second bracket, it's going to be x minus 6. And then one last thing you must do if you are using this method, just check if you multiply these two numbers that it does give you positive 18. Negative times a negative gives me a positive. 3 times 6 gives me 18. Okay, so it's working on all fronts. So now we hit the pisang split, where we make each factor equal 0 separately. Take this negative 3 over and it becomes positive 3. And we take this negative 6 over and it becomes positive 6. Okay, and here are our two answers for x. Now we're not quite done. We need to test the answers. Anytime you see a square root in the equation, you must test your answers. So we're going to put each answer in and see if it works. So if I put this 3 into x's place here, on the left hand side I'll get 3 minus 4, which is negative 1. And then I'm going to put this 3 into x's place over here. Yes, ain't nobody got time for that, bro. That's going straight in the calculator. Okay, so I just pop that in, press equals, and you can see it gives me negative 1. Which means that x equals 3 is definitely a solution. That guy is working. And now we're going to test the 6. Okay, so if I put this 6 in x over here, I get 6 minus 4, which gives me 2. And then I'm going to put the 6 into x over there. Yo, I don't have time for that. So I'm just going to use this one from last time. Change this 3 to a 6. And I get minus 2. So because I'm getting different things on the left hand side of the equal sign and the right hand side of the equal sign, it tells me that this is not an answer. So we've got to put a stroke through this equal sign. And why that happens is when we square both sides, we normally create a solution that's not supposed to be there. So at the end, we've got to triple check ourselves and get rid of it. And that is worth a mark. So you have to do it. Okay, and then quickly having a look where these 6 billion marks come from. Squaring both sides to get this gets you your first mark. Standard form gets you your second mark. The correct factors get you your third mark. The critical values for x gets you your fourth mark, and the rejection of the invalid answer gets you the fifth mark.